We obviously live under a matriarchy, everything that you're looking at. And it's a wonderful illusion because the matriarchy keeps screaming about the patriarchy when, in fact, obviously women are in power right now. You know, it's women that are behind every single one of these social movements that we're fighting. It's women that are leading the Me Too effort. It was women that got behind the BLM movement. It's women that are behind the trans agenda. Because women are too sensitive, even when they know something is wrong, they are able to be persuaded by emotion, is why we are seeing.
Hey guys, Mizuki here. Today I'm flipping the script so hard you would think it's auditioning for a gymnastic routine. You see, most folks still believe we are trapped in the good old patriarchy, that shadowy cabal of main suites meeting in secret bunkers to plot world domination. But I need to tell you, nah, we are living in a matriarchy, and before your brain spontaneously combusts, allow me to walk you straight through the looking glass. When people hear patriarchy, they picture a room full of men stroking cats and cackling, "Let's ruin the ladies' weekend plans." But guess what? There is no secret lounge where they are conspiring over craft beers and spreadsheets. Society isn't put together by clandestine meetings. It's an organic mass, knitted thread by thread through generations of habits, roles, and expectations. Russian scrotum, that genial British philosopher, nailed it. Our social fabric rolls out of tradition, morals, and sheer nurture more than any backstaged blueprint. So when I say matriarchy, I'm not accusing a hidden league of women in power hills. I'm noticing that the roles evolved so that the most protected come to run the show. Flashing back to prehistory, Brute Strange was the name of the game. You needed Brown to hunt, guard, and how roles meant Tomb raided their way too. Thanks to those lovely testosterone-fueled muscles, ever read Jordan Peterson's spout on evolutionary divides? Yeah, he calls it the muscle and aggression playbook.
So that's my idea of the patriarchy, which is a system of male dominance of society.
Yeah, but that's not my sense of the patriarchy.
So what's yours?
Well, in what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
Very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's vaguely appropriate.
But I could say equally well that most rape victims are women. You know, terrible things happen to people of both sexes.
And you could say that with perfect utility, but that doesn't provide any evidence for the existence of a male-dominated patriarchy.
Well,
it just means that terrible things happen to both genders, which they certainly do.
But there are almost no women who rape men, for example. So that is an asymmetry there in sexual violence.
Well, yes, there's an asymmetry in all sorts of places, but that doesn't mean that Western culture is a male-dominated patriarchy. The fact that there are asymmetries has nothing to do with your basic argument.
No, but you might equally...
This is a trope that people just accept. Western society is a male-dominated patriarchy. It's like, no, it's not. That's not true. And even if it has a patriarchal structure to some degree, the fundamental basis of that structure is not power, it's competence. That's why our society works. It's only when a structure degenerates into tyranny that the fundamental relationships between people become dependent on power. It's not power. If you hire a plumber who's likely to be male, it's not because there's roving bands of tyrannical plumbers forcing you to make that choice. And it's the case with almost every interaction that you have at the face of our culture. You're dealing with people who are offering a service of one form or another, who are usually part of the broad middle class, and what you're looking for is the person who can offer the best service, and you can find it. It's not a consequence of being dominated by anything that's tyrannical. And then again, our culture, our Western culture, which is by no means perfect, and certainly has tyrannical elements like all cultures do, is the least tyrannical society that's ever been produced, and certainly the least tyrannical society that exists now. This whole patriarchy thing, I think you have no idea how pernicious and dangerous it is.
Well, no, I don't. I really don't. Go on.
Throughout history have fundamentally cooperated. to push back against the absolute catastrophe of existence. A terrible death rate, the probability of chronic starvation, early death, disease, the difficulty of raising children with all the death that was associated with that. And to look backwards in time and say, well, basically what happened was men took the upper hand and persecuted women in this tyrannical patriarchy is an absolutely dreadful misreading of history. It's a terrible thing to teach young women, and it's a horrible thing to inflict upon men.
Fast forward to today, forklifts to do the heavy lifting. Parks and streets are patrolled by trained professionals. Groceries arrive via conveyor belts, so what is left of all that supposed male superpowers? A slightly deeper voice and a tendency to hog the thermostat? When She-Force loses its VIP pass, society sympathy gravitates towards the more delicate party. Hello, automatic empathy. Break a piece of wood into an exquisite carving, and suddenly it's priceless. Humans work the same way. Fragility equates to value. So even though a lumberjack might carry the weight of the world on his back, literally, he's now the big dad in the fairy tale, while the delicate damsel's core bonus points for protection.
We obviously live under a matriarchy, everything that you're looking at. And it's a wonderful illusion because the matriarchy keeps screaming about the patriarchy when in fact, obviously women are in power right now. You know, it's women that are behind every single one of these social movements that we're fighting. It's women that are leading the Me Too effort. It was women that got behind the BLM movement. It's women that are behind the trans agenda. Because women are too sensitive, even when they know something is wrong, they are able to be persuaded by emotion, is why we are seeing so many ridiculous social justice movements today. I say the fault fully lies with women, and women have garnered a lot of power through the matriarchy. We saw this with the Me Too movement. We've seen tons of people losing their jobs, accusations that are being made. And so, yeah, I think we're in a climate of hysterical women, and it's been building over the last 15 years, I would say.
Enter Thomas Sowell, waving his economist wand to show how victimhood translates into clout. Claim oppression, and poof, you get special treatment. Your opinions carry extra weight. You dodge accountability, and how much accountability, huh? And you get a front row seat at the protection buffet. Meanwhile, the poor guy grinding in the cubicle may be drowning in debt, heartbreak, and existential dread. But hey, at least he's privileged, right? This, my friends, is the height of modern matriarchy. A system that doles out power based on perceived vulnerability, not actual influence. Men, on the other hand, are the perennial villains, be painted as oppressors even when they are struggling, simply because they appear strong. Let's swing at the prize fights topic. The gender pay gap. You hear the left, right, and center that men earn more, so patriarchy confirmed, right? Wrong. First, men clock about 3 to 4 extra hours per week, on average night shifts, weekend work, hazardous gigs, so yeah, the annual paycheck is fatter. That's an extra month of salary just from showing up more often in dangerous places. Second, when a man and a woman sit at the same desk with the same title, either they earn the same or she sometimes earns even more. Courtesy of diverse incentives and hiring quotas. This one might not happen in US, but it's something that happens a lot here. We pay abusive taxes to give very selected groups a lot of privilege that costs way too much to all of us in the end. According to Harvard Business Review data, shout out to Christina Hoff Swimmers, single women without kids often out-earn their male peers in officer roles. So the headline, "Women Still Earn Less," is a sensationalized half-truth designed to distract you from the fine print.
Feminism wants you to believe that we live in a patriarchy in which women are oppressed and need to be more empowered. But this is nothing more than a manipulation tactic which they use in order to gain more power over men, more rights and freedoms with less responsibilities, and to disempower and take rights away from us men. It's kind of similar to what is called projection in psychology, actually, where you accuse someone of doing something you yourself are actually the one doing so that they can't accuse you of doing it. The truth is that we actually live in a matriarchal, political, judicial and legal, and socioeconomic system. Women are the ruling class and are oppressors of men. And men are becoming more and more like a slave class. Women have more rights than men. Women have less responsibilities than men. Women have more freedoms than men. Women are more protected and defended than men. Women are more supported than men. Women are held less accountable for their actions than men. Women are more provided for than men. Women receive more favor in court, even when they're criminals, than men do. We don't live in a patriarchy. We live in a matriarchy. Women are not oppressed. They are the oppressors. This is not just rhetoric.
Think men call all the shots with the bigger paychecks? Drain on. The matriarchy ruins the home market. But proof? Stroll through any shopping mall. Makeup boutiques outnumber hardware stores 10 to 1, and men's fashion is usually an afterthought. According to McKinsey and BCG, women make 70 to 80% of households' purchasing decisions. So yes, the man brings home the bacon, but more slices, dices, and deep fries it into dinner plans, savings, and those annoying with meaningful discount coupons. Even when I voice papers hit the table, the default is mom gets primary custody, dad gets weekend visitation. Then come alimony and child support, miss a payment, and you're behind bars. And by bars, I mean real jail time. Courtesy of Brazil's civil arrest for non-payment of child support, a penalty unmatched by any other debt here. Every boy watching this is on a crash course in confusion. He sees dad grinding, sacrificing, then vilified for toxic masculinity. He watches school lessons, preaching men are the problem. No wonder he grows up with an identity crisis, no map for how to be a man anymore. Christina of Summers warned about this back in the war against boys, and yet her education system doubles down on demonizing males. So what's the game plan? It's not moral laws, it's attitude. That's be the example, embody courage, responsibility, kindness. Let your actions speak louder than any legislation. Women, don't buy into the narrative that all men are monsters. Celebrate a real gentleman who protect, support, and lead with honor.
Did you know that in one important area of life we actually live in a matriarchy? I'm talking about the realm of love, sex, relationships, and divorce. The current ideal of long monogamous relationships and marriage almost completely satisfies women's emotional and sexual needs, while men's are almost completely ignored. Women crave stability, security, and protection from a high-status man, and they get it. They are evolutionarily predisposed to seek that. Men, on the other hand, crave variety in their sex lives. They are born polyamorous by nature, and they don't get that. Or they are morally degraded if they do. There are a number of evolutionary biological reasons for this. Men could never be sure that a child was really theirs, and they are capable of fathering a child every day. Monogamy was therefore always risky and ineffective for them. The Coolidge effect in man, the inability to have sex with a long-term partner, is an obvious consequence of this. Don't even get me started on the injustice of divorce or child custody.
Childhood young boys, expose them to mentors. Heroes, sports, books, and role models who show that strength and compassion aren't mutually exclusive. And for the love of all that's fluffy, don't isolate each other. Loners are easy pickings for a system that loves to divide and conquer. Look, it's not about pitting men against women. It's about rescuing society by recognizing who holds real power, who bears hidden burdens, and how we can fix the imbalance together. The culture might be dragging male virtue through the mud, but we can still rise above, clear the fog, and rebuild a world where strength is respected and fragility is not the ultimate meat cut for power. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, that support my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tail Fox Tier member, Zalost, and my 3-tail Fox Tier members, Heath Rowell, Fenny Sylvy, and Radmuiel, for the incredible support to my work. Thank you very, very much. You guys are amazing. Also, thanks to everyone who donated to me through Tron, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel life and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon, link is in the description below. So that's it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check my links below, Patreon, Tron, and Discord server. Consider supporting this channel. Thank you very much, and I will see you all of you in the next one. Bye!